So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of the APEC AD workshop. We will be, for our theme for today, it will be linking automotive part suppliers, SMEs to the global value chain. Before we start with the program, we will be having a brief security briefing. Sorry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Grand Ballroom of Dusit, Thani, Manila. Your security is our utmost priority. In case of a fire emergency, there are 5 fire extinguishers, 3 of which are located beside each entry door, 1 beside the technical booth and 1 at the upper right corner of the ballroom. In case of an earthquake emergency, please remain calm. Our security personnel will escort you to evacuate to the assembly area, located right outside the exit of the hotel. The restrooms are located for the left door upon exit of the Grand Ballroom. If you have any medical concerns, the clinic is situated at the 3rd floor, left of the security office. On behalf of the APEC 2015 National Organizing Council, we hope you have a great and meaningful stay in the Philippines. Thank you.
So for our opening remarks, this will be delivered by our director, Maria Corazon Halili Dichosa, from the Board of Investments from the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry. She'll be delivering the general objective and rationale for the workshop on SME integration on GVCs.
Morning. How are you? Hope you had a good night last night, especially for our APEC AD delegates. And so, good morning to everybody, to our delegates, guest participants, and resource speakers to this workshop. Welcome to this workshop. And as mentioned earlier, this workshop is entitled Linking the Automotive Parts Supplier SMEs to the Automotive GVCs, which is basically, as emphasized in yesterday's opening remarks and the succeeding speeches, is actually trying to build on the findings and recommendations of the APEC paper on integrating SMEs into the GVCs, policy principles and best practices, which actually include automotive as one of the major industries. Now, before we go to the actual workshop, I'd like to give you some information or a few facts on why we're emphasizing SMEs, why GVCs, and why auto SMEs in GVCs. Now, APEC economies in aggregate exhibit constant growing national incomes after the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis. APEC economies' GDP has been growing at an annual compound rate of 2.7% after the crisis to the year 2013. In fact, if you look at the graph, the combined GDP of the APEC economies in 2013 has been growing steadily, and in 2013, it actually reached $31.5 trillion. Growing GDP suggests increasing disposable incomes of consumers, which can directly have positive spillover effects to the automotive sector in the region, such as an increase in demand of automobiles, thus fueling and increasing dynamism of the automotive manufacturing in the region. In 2013, APEC economies account for 47.76% of world trade in motor vehicles and parts. The dip in the world's trade for motor vehicles and parts in 2008 and 2009 is actually steeper, if you will see, compared to that of the APEC economy's total trade for motor vehicle and parts, suggesting a resiliency of the APEC economy's trade in motor vehicles despite a drop in world demand. Now, on this graph, you will actually see that there's a dynamic intra-regional trade in auto parts in the Asia-Pacific. The APEC economy's intra-regional trade in motor vehicle parts is growing at an annual compounded rate of 5.28%. Similarly, trade in motor vehicle parts to the rest of the world is also growing at an annual compounded rate of 6.3%, which is actually bigger than the intra-regional trade. The faster pace of growth in motor vehicle parts trade compared to the motor vehicles trade suggests the growing importance of our economies in GVCs, not just in the Asia-Pacific region, but with the rest of the world. As mentioned earlier or yesterday by our Assistant Secretary Perry Rodolfo, SMEs account for about 97% of total APEC firms, and that we're going to link it with automotive manufacturing over the course of history, we can say that it has become more sophisticated and fragmented regionally to economize on scales. However, the clustering pattern of automotive production and consumption in developed economies is now seen to have gradually shifted to developing economies. But the shift of major markets to developing economies is not translating into opportunities for SMEs. As the APEC PSU's paper on integrating SMEs into GVCs notes, it further noted that SMEs have often been left out of the formation of GVCs as the fragmentation of production processes and cross-border trade take place mostly within the networks of the TNCs or the transnational corporations. The study also recognized that there is less room for SME auto parts manufacturers in the market due to their lagging capacity and diminishing competitive edge. Additionally, small auto parts suppliers are facing constraints on access to capital, severely affecting their adaptability and forcing them to go out of business, based on the paper of OECD in 2009. Due to over 10,000 components needed to form over 3,000 parts and subsystems of a car, the automotive GVC is among the most complicated chains, and each lead firm structures the chain differently based on its market strategy. This brings us to the importance of SME auto parts manufacturers and the key role that they play in the industry. Auto parts manufacturing is mostly SME territory. It includes auto-supporting industries such as upstream, the tool and die, machining, metal casting, automotive interiors, textiles, and rubber tires. And for the downstream industries, the aftermarket services like parts replacement, maintenance, repairs, and overhaul services. The key role of SMEs is supporting and adding efficiency to the production process, and this is especially true in the automotive GVCs. Production fragmentation, as in the case of automotives, provides diverse avenues for enterprises to specialize and participate in. It is thus important that more SMEs are brought inside the supply chains for inclusive growth in the APEC economies and help drive innovation in the industry. Now, to initiate sharing and dialogue on what works best, be it the government policy or the industry production strategies for nurturing and encouraging SME participation to higher value-adding, higher technology segments of the GVCs, we're actually having this workshop now. And at this early stage, I would like to thank our resource speakers who have agreed to lend their time and expertise in today's event. Essentially, in moving forward, the workshop specifically hopes to empower APEC SMEs to penetrate the automotive GVCs through compiling useful information that can equip them with updated trends and knowledge on the automotive markets in the APEC region. Likewise, this workshop hopes to gather insights from everyone on how best we can start an actionable agenda on fostering and increasing participation of SMEs in the automotive GVCs. I would therefore like to encourage your active participation in the workshop and let us all have a good exchange of knowledge. And so, without further ado, let's start the ball rolling, and I turn over now the floor to our MC, Mr. JC Aguilar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Director Corazon Halili Dichosa. As noted, or as she has stated, the Madam Chair has stated, that we really do hope that this workshop really empowers APEC SMEs to penetrate the automotive GVCs or the global value chains, and also with updated trends and knowledge on the automotive markets in the APEC region. And now let's going to the next speaker. We have for the title, The Role and Contribution of Parts and Components